Ready. Play.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're tuning in from. Vicky is in Athens, so it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon there. It's 3 o'clock where I am, but of course, if you're in the Americas, it'll be a very different time, as it will do in Asia or even Australia, but I think Australia is probably the middle of the night, so I'll be surprised if there's many people tuning in. Vicky, how are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. It's a bit cold today, surprisingly.
What does cold mean in Athens? What's the
Yeah,
temperature?
that's a good question. It's about 10 degrees.
Oh, that's summer in Germany.
I know.
Have you been to Germany?
Yes, I've been to Berlin.
Nice. For tennis or holiday?
No, holidays.
Okay. So just so our audience knows, Vicky is a Greek journalist. Tell us a bit more about you, Vicky.
Yeah, I work for a sports website, SDNA.
Okay.
And I've been covering tennis since 2011.
Ooh.
Yeah, before that, I was a senior editor in a sports newspaper in Greece.
Uh-huh.
So that's about it.
Okay, Vicky. Well, that's a nice introduction. Of course, Greece in the last few years. I mean, obviously you had Bagdatis. I remember Bagdatis in the 2000s and his incredible run in Australia. But now, of course, we've got two players at the top of the game on the men's and the women's side. Is this the best era in Greek tennis?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it has never been better. I don't think that anybody dreamed about it like 5 or 6 years ago. And now you can see the difference because a lot of kids play tennis. A lot of people talk about tennis. It's something very rare and something very different in Greece, you know.
Yeah, right. Listen, I asked you before we went on air about what tournaments did you attend, and I was wondering if maybe there was one or two in Greece, and maybe maybe one or two Masters, and maybe even a Slam. And you gave me this list, which was French Open, US Open, Wimbledon, and the Laver Cup, and I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for a year.
Yeah, I try to cover all the Grand Slams. Australia is a bit difficult, you know, for the outlet because the tickets cost a lot, you know. And tennis is not that popular in Greece. I mean, it's all about football and basketball here. So most of the media outlets don't invest in tennis and don't spend a lot of money. But the website I work for tries to cover all the big events.
We're going to do Maria Sakkari, obviously, but I just want to come to this tweet, which is at the top of your page. You spoke to Stefanos recently.
Yeah, about 10 days ago when he was in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay. Were you there too, or you were?
We talked on the phone.
Oh, okay, on the phone. And so he said his goal for next year is to become world number one.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't even think about it. When I asked him, he said, my goal is to be number one, just like that.
Wow. Well, listen, I have to say, Stefanos' season was up and down, but he has had a good few weeks, I would suggest. And I mean, I know it's exhibitions, but you never know. Let's see how that pans out. What do you think would be a reasonable goal for Maria Sakkari in 2023?
Last year, she didn't do that well in Grand Slams, like the year before that, 2020. Mm-hmm. So I think her goal has to be to go well in Grand Slams and to remain in the top 10.
Yeah, right. I think that's a fair comment. I mean, she had a fairly good year until Indian Wells. She got to the final there. What do you think didn't work in the second half of the season, at least until Dallas?
Yeah, we talked about that. I think it was in New York. And she told me that after Indian Wells, when she reached the top 3, she was number 3 in the world for the first time in her career. She sort of couldn't handle the success. And she had like mental problems. And at some point she said that she couldn't even get out of bed. She wasn't in the mood to play. So that was the problem for some months. And then she took a break during the summer. And after that, I think she found herself again. Although she didn't, I mean, the results weren't that good until the end of the year. But at the end, she made it to the WTA finals. So she must be satisfied, you know, with her year.
I'm going to use a word from 18th century Greek, which we use in English, and I'm sure many other languages, which is, we say in English, kudos. I don't know how you say it in Greek.
Uh,
Kudos, it means like
yeah,
respect, well done.
yeah. We actually in Greek we say respect in
Okay.
English, but we talk in Greek and then we say wow, respect. We add
Yeah,
the
yeah.
word. So yeah,
Greeklish. Is that Greeklish, maybe?
yeah.
So kudos to you, respect to you, because that quote from Maria Sakkari actually became, it went pretty viral. I think I heard it on a couple of tennis podcasts. I saw it in a few media outlets too, because I think many people were wondering about Sakkari in this year.
Yeah, she spoke about it another after that. I mean, I wrote it in Greek. I don't know if it became viral then, but then she said the same thing afterwards in New York. So everybody, found out about it.
That's
I
when
think
everybody picked up on it.
it was in New York. I think, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Do you think with Sakkari, I mean, there is it looks like the capabilities are there. I often think about her and Arina Sabalenka, two very different players, but have had similar careers until now. They've both been in Grand Slam semifinals. Neither has quite managed to go that next step. Do you think Sakkari, because she spoke about some of these mental problems that she had, of course, when she became top five, or as you highlighted, top three. Do you think that now in 2023 she can relax and just try and play her best tennis?
I think the key for me would be if she won a title, because she hasn't won a title since she only has one title, and she won it back in 2019 in Rabat. So I think that if she wins a title, then everything will become easier for her, because when she reaches the final stages of a tournament, I think that then the mental issues appear. You know what I mean? She feels that maybe she can't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Indian Wells obviously was a final and she lost quite badly there. I think the French Open, she was quite unlucky with her draw. I think she played Mukova, and Mukova played just probably the best match of her year, which was unfortunate for Maria. Maybe if she got past that stage, she could have gone a lot further. I thought that match was good. By the way, something that Sakkari does tend to be involved in is excellent matches.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I think uh, the defeats in London and in New York, I believe that she could have done better, especially in London.
Yeah, tell us about her loss at Wimbledon.
It was against Tatiana Maria, if you remember.
Yes, I do.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe she's the better player. I mean, between them, she's the better player. So I think she could have gone far in Wimbledon.
Yeah, I spoke to Maria. You and I were talking about this off air. I was talking. I was at the press conference of Sakkari after her first round. Of course, grass is not really the surface that we would associate Maria with, but she was obviously pretty pleased to come through her first round. The thing is, I would say about Tatiana Maria, she did go on to get to the semifinals. So at least there is that. And Maria, I know, was a lot of people were having problems with Maria and her slice and her style of play. And do you think Maria Sakkari, by the way, Tatiana Maria Sakkari, it gets
Yeah,
confusing. And of course, they played again. They played again in New York, right?
yeah, and she beat her, Maria. Sakkari beat
Yes.
Maria.
It's quite funny because on the TV you see Maria and then underneath it says Sakkari. But in New York, it wasn't easy. It was, I think Maria Sakkari was winning quite easily, and then Tatiana Maria came back, and it was looking a bit scary for Sakkari, but she managed to pull through.
Yeah, she lost the set, and then it was easy in the third.
It was easy in the third, absolutely, yeah. Listen, tell me about Sakkari in Greece. Is she well known? Is she popular? Does everybody know her on the street, or is she not so well known?
No, she's very popular. I think that right now everybody knows her, because I think it's mostly because of last year's Roland Garros, because it's broadcasted from public TV. It was broadcasted from public TV, so everybody knows who she is now, along with Stefanos, because they both did well in 2020. She's very popular. I think that people like her. And she's also popular for another reason, because she's dating the son of the prime minister of Greece.
Yes, I'm aware of that. So of course that's made her become particularly well known in Greece. We've got a few comments in the live chat. Hi, Jean, nice to have you on board. Listen, Jean's highlighting her loss in St. Petersburg against Kontaveit. That was a particularly tough one, right?
Yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, she has had some very, let's say, painful defeats in finals, and also in Parma, when she lost to the, I can't remember the Egyptian girl's name, Sharif.
Yeah, Sharif.
And I think that that's what I told you before, that it's if she wins the title, I think that everything will become easier for her after that.
Actually, her and Tsitsipas, it's not the same, but there are a couple of similarities in that Tsitsipas, of course, hasn't won a Grand Slam, but he goes very far in many Grand Slam semi-finals and also a final. He's also not won any 500s, if you like. He's been in a few finals, but he's not won. And to be honest with you, I don't think the 500 statistic with Tsitsipas matters that much. I don't think Nadal has won Oh no, Nadal does win 1 or 2 on clay, but you know, if you give a big player a good run at a slam, it's far more important than winning a 500. But I think you're right, Vicky. For Sakkari, just to get that title, because she hasn't won one for a long time, and that one that she did win was in Marrakesh, I think that could help her. But I think that's the same for many players. I think the same about Emma Raducanu as well.
And even in Kontaveit, I mean, she started winning when she won the first or second title last year, if you remember, and then she had a great run. You know, she won like 3 or 4 titles in a row. So I think something like that will happen with Maria. If she wins a title, then she will win more after that. And if she goes far in Grand Slam, I mean, she went far in 2020. But I think in both matches, although Raducanu, both players won the title afterwards, Krejcikova and Raducanu, but I think that Maria was the favorite in those in both matches.
Yeah, she was. And there was a 250 recently. I can't remember where it was.
In
and
Parma.
Say again, Vicky?
In Parma.
In Parma, exactly. Yeah. And I think that was the one I remember listening to the tennis podcast about this particular tournament, and it was kind of looking like it's there for Sakkari. It didn't work out in the final, heartbreakingly enough. But, Vicky, we saw some positive signs at the end of season finals in Fort Worth, right?
Yeah, I mean, she was great in Guadalajara when she managed to qualify WTA finals. It was a great finish for the year. And I think that nobody expected that she would remain in the top 10 after, the first half of the season was great, but the second half was kind of disappointing. So I don't think that anybody expected. I mean, personally, I didn't expect that she would play in the WTA finals. But what she did in Guadalajara was exceptional.
And again, dramatic matches. And of course, she ends up playing against the player that she's competing with for that final spot in the WTA finals.
Yeah, exactly. And she was great. I mean, she showed that winning spirit in Mexico.
She definitely did. But she then took that into Dallas, into Fort Worth, because she wins the group. She's playing against top 8 players in the world, at least for this year, in terms of their form. And it's going into the semi-final. You're thinking, listen, Sakkari, you also had Sabalenka playing Swiatek on the other side of the draw. But you're thinking Sakkari against Garcia, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Sakkari at that point in the group stage had been playing better. If we remember, Garcia won 2 of her matches and lost one, albeit that I think the one that Garcia lost was against Swiatek. But also, Garcia had struggled to make the semifinals. We remember that epic match that she had against Kasatkina. And I thought, and maybe other people thought, okay, this is a chance now for Sakkari to make the final, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I believe so too. But I mean, Garcia is a great player, and she had a great summer, and I think she deserved the title in the end.
Tell us about Sakkari's. First of all, let's look at her spirit, because I mentioned the number of crazy 3-setters that she has. Unfortunately, some of them get away from her. Some of them go her way. We mentioned the Tatiana Maria one in New York, for example, but I also remember in 2021, quite a few matches. But one of my memories from 2021 was also the press conference she gave in New York after she lost to I think she lost to Raducanu there in the semi-final.
Yeah.
And she was really disappointed with her level that day.
Yeah. I mean, she expected to win, and she actually told me, I remember that day, that Raducanu didn't do anything like special. It was just that she didn't play well. And actually, I believe that she had chances in the first set. And I believe that if she had broken Raducanu in the first set, maybe things would be different, because she had a lot of missed, a lot of break points. I can't remember the number. But she started well. And then, then she didn't play. She played, I mean, it was a bad match for her. And she was very, very disappointed after it.
And of course, that came on the back of another semi-final defeat in Paris just a couple of months before, right?
Yeah, that was disappointing too. I mean, although Krejcikova had a great tournament, and she won and she won it in the end. I think that Maria was a favorite against her, and she had her chances. So yeah, that was very disappointing too. I remember that she came back to Athens, and she didn't play a grass tournament. She just went straight to Wimbledon. After that, she was devastated.
I mean, that semi-final defeat, I mean, listen, it's kind of aged quite well, in my opinion, in that Krejcikova went on to win the tournament. I think Krejcikova, when she's playing her best on clay, is probably the second best player in the world, only to Swiatek. And I also think I have some interesting thoughts on Krejcikova in terms of, I think she's going to be a big person to consider next year at all the big tournaments. But look at how close that was. 9-7 there in the third set. It was very close, right?
Yeah, it was very close, and I think that she really believed that she would win the tournament, and that's why it was very disappointing for her.
Tell us about her relationship with her coach. Of course, she has a British coach in Tom Hill.
Mm-hmm. They have a great relationship. I mean, first of all, they are friends. They're the same age, and I think that some people ask me when she loses, matches, and I do a live blog or something. A lot of people ask me, "Oh, why is she still working with Tom?" and blah blah blah. I always say that I think that she will never stop working with Tom, because the relationship is great, the chemistry is great, and she really trusts him.
Yeah, I think it's really important. By the way, I love this image that I've just found of the two of them. Yeah, you can see that they do get on very well. And of course, by the way, Jean is just highlighting the fact that she had match points against Krejcikova, which makes that defeat even more important. But back to this coaching situation, I've seen images of them and conversations between the two of them in the lead up to matches and also on the practice courts that do suggest a good relationship there. And I think you're right. Fans now, especially on social media, people get very passionate about their favorite player, and we probably look for a reason that our favorite player hasn't won, and we look towards the coaching stuff. It is a new fashion, if you like, a new trend in tennis in terms of the social media element in particular, that suddenly now the coaches are coming into the spotlight.
Yeah, but I mean, when Sakkari, for example, loses a semi-final or a final, I don't think that it's Tom's fault. For example, I mean, they have put on so much work together. They trust each other. I mean, he has helped her so many times. I don't know if you remember when coaches were allowed to go on court, when he gave her instructions and then she followed them and won the match. I don't know if you remember that. I mean, it was.
No.
Yeah, he was famous for that, for turning matches around, giving her, telling her to do something, and she did it, and she won the match, So yeah, the
And
coaches.
how long have they been together for, by the way, a coaching pair?
How long? You said?
Yeah.
I think it's about 5 years.
Okay, so that's quite a long one, yeah. And long mate.
But just helping. He was second coach with Thomas Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
And when he left, Maria was trying to find somebody else to take Johansson's place. And then Tom told her, why don't we try together to do it? I mean, to start working together. And that's how it happened.
Tell us about the tennis sort of journalism field in Greece right now. I mean, what's the name of the organization you work for?
SDNA.
SDNA. So, I mean, is SDNA, is that in terms of tennis, have they expanded their interest in tennis over the last 5 years or so?
Look, I will be honest. For example, if you go now on the website, well, I haven't written anything today, but most of the times tennis is never on the first page unless there's a match, or maybe something very, very important. The first page, you will see basketball and football, nothing else. But when there are Grand Slams, when I travel, when Stefanos is playing, when Maria is playing, yeah, I mean, sometimes it is the top article. Most of the times when they're playing. So this is what happens in the other websites as well. I mean, it's almost the same.
Can you see this website I've got on the screen? I think Vicky's lost her internet for a few seconds. Ah, there you are. You're back. Listen, Vicky, can you see the image on the screen?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So funnily enough, I just Googled the name of the website. There's a few Greek words on there, of course, that I don't understand. But I think that's Tom Hill there next to Maria Sakkari.
Exactly, because there was this video on WTA, and they asked them 11 questions about each other.
Okay.
And they had to answer, to give their answer. And they actually had 9 common answers, which shows their relationship. I mean, that they know each other very well.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good that they seem to know each other well. Listen, in terms of what's coming up, of course, we've got the United Cup, which is exciting for Greece. And by the way, Vicky, we mustn't forget, I'm not sure, where are Greece playing their matches in Australia?
In Perth.
In Perth, okay. So the reason I ask is because probably many of our audience are not aware, but in Australia, but particularly in Melbourne, there is a huge Greek population. I believe, at least statistics suggest, it is the 3rd largest population of Greeks on the planet after Thessaloniki and Athens, the 2 main cities, of course, in Greece.
Actually, it may be the 2nd after Athens.
Maybe the second. Yeah. I mean, I remember hearing it was 2nd, but then some people were suggesting Thessaloniki maybe 3rd, but 2nd. But whatever, it's a phenomenal amount. You get in a taxi, you go in a bar, you go to a restaurant, you talk to businesses, whatever. In Melbourne in particular, but Sydney too, by the way, but Melbourne especially. And it's Greek. And by the way, even in Greece, sometimes, especially in the tourism hotspots, you're in a shop, a souvenir shop or whatever, and the person, speaks to you in English and they've got a really strong Australian accent.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I like traveling to Melbourne. I mean, I feel like home, and Greeks are very nice. I have made friends there, and they all say, "Oh, come on, you can stay at our place during the tournament." They're very nice, and they're very passionate. I mean, I think they're more passionate than the Greeks here when they watch Maria and Stefanos. I don't know if you've seen the atmosphere. It's like a football match.
I was going to say when Sakkari and also, of course, Tsitsipas as well, those two obviously being at the top of the game. But when they're playing in Melbourne in the stadiums, I guess they get most of the support, right?
You cannot imagine. I mean, sometimes, especially when it's the outside courts where there are more people, it's like a football match. And sometimes it's annoying for the other players, of course. But I think that Stefanos, for example, doesn't like it that much. He prefers, that more, tennis atmosphere. Maria loves it.
Maria likes it, yeah. And listen, we've got that team event where both Stefanos and Sakkari will be playing together. How do you think Greece will do? I mean, the problem I guess Greece has is the depth after the top 2 players.
Yeah, look, the women are okay. I mean, we have 2 players that are in the top 200, Papamichail and Grammatikopoulou. We have Stefanos' brother, Petros, is a very good doubles player. Yeah, but I think, it depends on Maria and Stefanos, of course.
It does, definitely. But listen, they will, even in Perth, they will get some home support. I'm not sure if they'll stay in Perth throughout. I think maybe the semi-finals and final might be in Sydney or in Melbourne. I'm not sure.
In Sydney.
In Sydney, right. So they will move about, but I think that's going to be an exciting tournament. What are your thoughts? Let's concentrate a little bit on Maria for the last couple of minutes. What are your thoughts on Maria Sakkari? Where is she at? Is she ready to give the Australian Open a really big run?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she loves Australia. She loves the weather in Australia because she loves hot weather. I mean, and both Greek players, I think, will do well this year.
Sakkari is really well known for her fitness, right, and her levels of endurance.
Yeah, she has her fitness coach, George Panagiotopoulos, was a sprint runner. and very famous in Greece and very successful. And she has been working with him since she was 14 years old, I think. And I don't know if you've seen any videos of her training with him. I mean,
I've seen videos of her training, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometimes when I train, I feel that I've done something, and then I see Maria's videos. I say, "Oh no, I haven't done anything." I'm like,
Because
nothing.
Vicky, you're a bit of a runner, right?
Yeah, I'm a runner. I'm a marathon runner.
Make sure you check out Vicky's Twitter page, by the way. I have shared it before, but I'll share it again, no doubt. But yes, but back to Maria anyway, just in terms of the fitness thing. I think that Will obviously, has stood her in a good position, especially when it goes to lengthy matches. But I guess for her, she does seem to get a bit tight, a bit nervous in those last, if it is a third set, tiebreaker or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's the main problem. I don't think. I mean, she's so fit. She never. I think she will never get tired, even if it's like 3 very very long sets. And actually, when somebody asked her about 5 sets in women's tennis, she said, "I don't mind. I can do it." But the thing is mental. I think, especially when it's a semi-final, a final. I think she tends to think too much, and she has told me that actually that sometimes she thinks. I mean, she's honest. She says that I know that the fact that I haven't won any titles is not good. It's not good for me, and that I think about it, of course, matches.
Do you know if she's planning on doing a 250 as well before Melbourne?
No, I don't think she will play
She's
the
not. She's not signed up for Adelaide or anything like this.
United Cup, and then she's very. I mean, sometimes Stefanos plays many tournaments, and people say, "Oh, he plays so many tournaments." Maria is the opposite. I mean, she knows what's good for her. She takes breaks, and you will never see her play like back-to-back tournaments.
Interesting. Well, listen, Vicky, we all hope that she has a great year. I don't mind admitting that I am a fan of Maria's, and I would love to see her go far and maybe lift a title, or maybe even lift 2 titles, and maybe even one of those titles being a Grand Slam. I do think that that her and Sabalenka, as I said before, possibly Ons Jabeur, but that's a very different type of situation, I would say, in terms of the player. But those 2 or 3 players I just mentioned, it would be really, really sad if none of those 3, for example, ever won a Grand Slam.
In the past, I predicted that Maria will win a Grand Slam before Stefanos.
Oh,
so, yeah, I was close.
yeah. Well, I mean, you were close with Maria, but you're also close to not being right with Stefanos in Paris last year. Listen, it could be an amazing year, Vicky, for Greek tennis next year. It really could be.
Yeah, I hope so, and I think so.
Good. Listen, Vicky, it's been great having you stop by from 10 degrees in Athens to -10 in Germany. Maybe you and I will cross paths in warmer climes next year, perhaps during the European summer tennis season, if you like. But Vicky, I just want to say a big thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
That's no problem at all. And I will leave our audience with this little message. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.